So for the first ever podcast, we're technically recording this. This is not live. It was recorded on December 31st, but it's going to be played in the new year as the first episode. So we're creating what's called a New Year's theme and talking about where we want to go, what we should be doing into New Year's. So on the format of the Chosen Life podcast, again, much marination and thinking about how I'm going to go about it. The format's really simple. We got 3 topics, things that George and I both like, and feeding information to the world about these particular topics. So we're keeping it really simple, but conversations that anybody could be having at this point, fun things that, we both like, we would want to be watching on a podcast, and that's what we want to bring to others. And on that note, in the future, people watching this, you want to appear on the Chosen Life podcast, send in your application and we will consider you. And then when I'm assessing each of the future guests, I'm looking at what their strengths are, what their areas of likes are. And those are the kind of topics we're going to talk about. It could be anything from exercise, nutrition, wrestling, boxing, gossip, you name it, we'll talk about it, as long as it's fun and it's not that controversial. So on that note, George, we're sitting here now, we're going to start the new year, right? And as everybody on the planet sits and thinks about the year coming, they're saying to themselves, what's my resolutions? Topic number 1, what is our resolutions for the year? And what is the deal with people coming up with these goals for the year? Are they real goals or are they just BS goals that are never going to happen? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny. It is a great segue because we're talking about, being surrounded around people that motivate, inspire you, push you, help you to dream bigger, do more. And so that's a great segue into this. And I think that's probably one of the goals people should set for themselves. But to take a step back to your question, I always find it amusing, the whole New Year's resolution thing. And I mean, at one point in time, I did get caught in it as well. It's like, oh, here's my list of resolutions and things I'm going to do to have a better life. But the fact of the matter is, I came to realize it's like you're saying, oh, tomorrow I'm going to do this, or January 1st, I'm going to do this. So you're already starting out deferring your decision. So is it really a decision if you've deferred it? Because a decision happens in an instant, right? I mean, I'm taking some of this from Tony Robbins. And so I mean, you really want to do something, today's the day to do it. You don't need to wait for an arbitrary January 1st. Now, some people like to set that milestone because it's symbolic, but then I think it becomes about the symbolism as opposed to the actuality of wanting to make a real change.
Interesting. So your New Year's could happen at any point during the year on that token.
That's right.
If I take it on to another step though, when I make my goals, my resolutions, whatever you want to call them, I agree with you. I don't have to set them January 1st. My goals for this upcoming year, I set them all of last year. So last year, 2021 was my steps to getting 2021 things done, but I'm already thinking ahead to what I'm going to start doing in the following year. So as soon as I finish the one item, I'm going to jump into the next one. It so happened that my 3 biggest goals of the year, I actually wrapped them up perfectly at the end of 2021. So it's a perfect segue into starting into 2022. But my 2021 ones, I didn't start them all at the beginning of January 2021. Some started in late 2020, some started in mid-year, But I like that timeline, at least, where you're saying, okay, I'm ready now, I'm going to implement this, but I want to have a conclusion. I don't want this going on until the end of time and come 10 years down the road and saying, what the hell did I do with my life? I want it started, I want to complete it by a certain date. Does that sound realistic to you?
It makes perfect sense. And you talking about us gelling, I mean, case in point right there. I mean, one of the things I thought about leading up to our podcast here is the fact that, I think you described it without saying it in this way, but it's beginning with the end in mind. So, I mean, if you do want to set goals and milestones, I think that's a little bit different than the getting started piece I was talking about. In that case, you're starting with 2023 and working back and saying, what do I need to do in 2022 to be where I want to be in 2023, which is literally what you just said, but with 2021 and 2022. So, we did gel on that 100%. And I do believe that's the right way of going about it, is saying, who do I want to be? Where do I want to be in the future? And then how do I work back from there? And then filling out your calendar, because I think people don't put those milestones in, they don't put those things in their calendar. And I have this expression that if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Agreed. Or to-do list, right? It has to be somewhere, right? The one place it should not be is in here. You should be ruminating in here and having it building up in your mind. And you have this giant thing that you feel like you got to do. You don't know where to begin. You don't know where to end. and it's putting so much pressure that the easiest thing is just to walk away from it, right?
Yep, totally.
I actually sat down yesterday and I wrote a blog entry for the Kormans website. And I was talking about it a little bit. And the one thing I went to it, I was thinking, we're going to have this discussion. How do I go about setting a goal? How do I go about setting a resolution? And I thought to myself, I'm going to give a sneak peek right now, but 4 really easy steps. Make a list of every single thing you want to accomplish in life right now. Just sit down and brainstorm and write every single thing you think you possibly want to do, personal, professional, material, whatever you got to do. Then leave that list and walk away from it. Come back in a day, a 2, a week, whatever. Narrow down that list. Pick the finite goals that you really, really want to get done. Then sit down, make the list of steps that you got to do, baby steps, assign them due dates, and then execute. That's it. It's not that hard. Like, people are sitting there, oh, I got to lose 50 pounds. Oh, I got to start working out. So do it, whatever. You don't have to lose the 50 pounds tomorrow. You don't have to train 10 hours tomorrow. Make a plan, set it in your calendar. Like George says, it's an appointment now. It's like a doctor's appointment. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. I'm going to eat a little better tomorrow, and I'm going to eat even better the next day. You know, whatever it's got to be. All those little steps. You know, like that old proverb where they're saying, you have a bowl, it's empty. Every day you put one little pebble. It doesn't seem like much, but by the end of the year, you filled the bowl. If every day you made one little step towards your goals, you're actually going to achieve them versus just focusing on the goals, but not knowing where to begin.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's being said, success is consistent execution against the plan. So it's what you do consistently on a regular basis, right? And so I think the way we're discussing and talking about in the great four-step strategy laid out is about that. It's about getting the big picture narrowed down and then laying it out in a timeline. This is a 10-month, this is a 1 month, this is what I need to do daily to get to where I need to be, and then execute against that plan. And then you'll get to where you want to go. The truth is, you'll always end up at a destination. The question is it a well-crafted destination or just where you end up by chance?
So on that note, like, you take on many roles, many hats. Anybody else doing one thing you're doing, George, would struggle with it. They're like, this is a big undertaking in this role, this career, whatever you want to call it. Being an entrepreneur, I can't tell you how many times you and I have met and you're like, okay, I got an idea now, a big project, and this is going to be a great money maker. This is going to be really successful. And I'm like, another one. How does this man do it? And then you come with the dates, you come with the game plan, and you're like, I have the business plan ready. Like, when George comes to me, he doesn't come to me with some far shot idea. You come to me with decisions. You come to me with a plan, you know, versus most people that tell me they're going to do something, they just tell me abstractly, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an astronaut. Great. How are you going to go about that? Oh, you would actually come to me, tell me, I'm going to space school. I bought the equipment already. This is the timeline. This is when I've got to pass my test. How do you, as an entrepreneur, how does an idea come to you? How do you execute? How do you decide that this is something I'm going to go with? Like, walk us through your thought process on when you decide to take on a project like that professionally.
Well, it's a great question. And thank you for the compliment. I think that it starts out with curiosity. So, you know, I got teased a lot as a kid, curious George, the curious little monkey, all that stuff. But hey, guess what? Curiosity served me really well. So I think when you have a curious mindset and curious nature, you always question why. Why is something like this? Why is it like that? Why does it have to be like that? Why is this working or why is that not working? And then when you do that, and you come at it from a place of service and saying, how can I bring value to people? Whether it's my good friend, the chosen lawyer, whether it's, you know, Jim down the street or whoever it may be, the point is I'm coming from a place of service. So I'm saying, where's there an opportunity to bring some value that isn't being brought currently? But then once that idea starts to, germinate, then I got to figure out how to fertilize it, how to feed it and everything else. And then that comes from looking around at all the resources. And by resources, I mean relationships first and foremost, and saying who could facilitate this, who wants to be on board, who wants to be part of the dream, who wants to move it forward. And then getting those people in place, because I mean, this is hokey, but it's true. There's no I in team. So the only reason these ventures go forward is because I surround myself with competent, capable, enthusiastic, motivated people that want to make something happen. You know, whether that's coming to you and saying, hey, Jonathan, I got this idea and here's the plan. Can you please help me execute it from a legal standpoint and strategic, because your thoughts go beyond that of a lawyer. Like, you're a business lawyer. There's a big difference. So I do appreciate that, and thank you for that. But then that's how it comes to be, right? And then the rest is just coloring in between the lines.
I love that, and you're right. I know, as from I don't see myself first and foremost as a lawyer. I see myself as I'm in the make your life easy business. When somebody brings me something, my job is to figure it out and make their lives really, really simple. And so when I hear what you're saying, it's like you have this vision. You can either find opportunities or you could see an existing product, an existing service, and saying, I think this could be done better. Why hasn't anybody else thought of this? And boom, you jump into it, you know? I I think anybody listening right now, it doesn't matter your occupation, it doesn't matter your career, your business, whatever you're into. I think one of the greatest challenges and then the greatest defeats you can have in life is when you're working day to day on something in your role, and then all of a sudden it's 5 years have passed and 10 years have passed, and you say, "What have I done with my life? What have I accomplished? I have been digging a hole for 5 years. I have taken paper and written on paper and shuffled that paper into a basket, and more paper came. I answered a bunch of emails, but where did my life go? What the hell did I accomplish here? I am in the exact same position, making the exact same money, and I have gone nowhere. I'm sitting in quicksand, and that terrifies me. And I refuse to live my life like that. That is just, to me, that's really, really scary. And when I'm working in life, I tell myself I can't continue on unless I'm working towards something professionally and personally. If I'm just working and just going by my day to day, and I got my laundry done, I got my cooking done, and I went to work and I came back, I can't live like that, because I have to work towards a bigger purpose. And I think that's what separates the leaders. That's what separates the entrepreneurs versus the foot soldiers, you know? And it's okay to be a foot soldier. The army needs foot soldiers, absolutely. And in any business, you need the soldiers that will do that. But at the end of the day, are you good with 9 to 5? Are you good with clocking in, clocking out, doing the bare minimum, doing your job, not questioning it, not trying to figure out how to do the job better, not improving yourself, improving your business? You know, is that what you really want? And I think that's how people have to really question themselves, because in that kind of mentality, those are the people I think that come to New Year's and say to themselves, I need to lose weight, and I need to get ahead in life. And they set these abstract goals. There's no steps. They give up within 2 weeks to a month, and they're right back to square one the next year. And that's really, really sad.
Well, I think it's also because they're not being in the moment, to your point, right? And that's, at least that's part of what I got from what you're saying, is they're so busy focused on the end goal, they're not even living the moment to get them there. So of course, 2-3 months later, they're dissatisfied, they're jaded, they just keep seeing the end, but they're not enjoying the process or the journey.
Yep.
And tying back into what you were saying, I mean, the foot soldiers are the backbone of any business. It's like, without all the team members I have, my business partners, etc., I wouldn't be where I am. Not a chance. I can't do it all. I don't know it all. And God forbid the day that I think I know it all, I'm in trouble, right? So they're critical and essential. But I think that everybody can be a leader in their own choice, right? So not everybody needs to be the strategist. Not everybody needs to be the chosen lawyer. There's the people that choose to be the best they can be within their roles, and they're content at that. And perfect example is, last time I was at the grocery store, there's a teller at the grocery store. I purposely choose to go see her. Her name's Vicky, because she is exceptional. She's friendly, she's considerate, she's thoughtful, she's efficient at what she does, personable. And it's like, you know what? I would love to hire you for one of my companies. Right. And she just does what she does, and she does it as best as she can, and she's in the moment. And so she's a leader with her own scope or field, within her own field. Right. And I think everybody can aspire to be great in what they're doing. Not everybody has to be Elon Musk or the chosen lawyer.
It's amazing how much we're talked about in the same breath there. But that's a really good point to end this topic of of starting off with your New Year's resolutions. Maybe when you do have your goal, when you create your steps, also think about it, create the best team that you can. Being a leader of your own life, I hear what you're saying. I'm thinking at the end of the day, when I execute and I finish off a goal, I didn't do every single step, but I was smart enough to realize I'm good at this, I'm not very good at that or that or that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in professionals, and they're going to lead me through it. And then guess what? It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there. Thank you for enjoying today's episode of the Chosen Life podcast. Go ahead and hit the subscription button below and the notification bell to catch all of our great shows. And remember to contact the chosen lawyers when you are ready for your next real estate and commercial transaction. Go to kormans.ca.